And you will recognize that God did not create you to ever be outside of his presence. So just because you're sleeping does not mean that you're outside of God's presence. The body needs rest, but the spirit never sleeps. Your spirit is always awake. And because your spirit is always awake, that is where God can commune with your spirit in the night, and the memory is played to you like a dream. What the Lord wanted to deposit in your spirit, it now comes to you as a dream, full of symbols and messages that now, by the help of the Holy Spirit, you can interpret. But the beautiful thing about dreams, because there's all these misconceptions, right? There are people that would say, oh, I don't dream, but you do dream. And then people will say, but I don't have the gift of interpretation. The gift is not like something outside of God. The gift is the Holy Spirit. So if you have the Holy Spirit, you have the gift of interpretation. But you have to come before the Holy Spirit and ask the right questions about the dream. A mistake that we will normally make is that we will take one piece of the dream and put it in Google. Yep, sound of confession. You had this elaborate dream, and you take one piece of it, and you say, what does it mean to dream about birds that have green feathers? You didn't tell us where was the bird flying to, where was it coming from? Did the bird land on you? Did it poop on you? Did it not? Did you pick up the bird? Was it a healthy bird? Was it a dying bird? Like, there's no other description. You just put that in Google. Google tells you something crazy, and you're like, wow, that sounds about right. And you miss the whole point. So in the book really takes you on a journey. You know, the book starts with the person. It starts with you, the dreamer. And it starts with you because we have to first understand the uniqueness of our lives and why we need the counsel of God if we are going to die empty. We need the counsel of God if we are going to be the people that, if we are going to manifest what he knew about us before he placed us on this earth. You see, when the Lord was speaking to Jeremiah, he wasn't just speaking to Jeremiah. It was a message to everyone through eternity that before I formed you, I knew you. Before I placed you in your mother's womb, I ordained you for something. There's a specific purpose, there's a specific calling that God has ordained you for on the earth. That goes beyond you paying bills, living in a nice place, going shopping, being married. It goes beyond that. There is something God has called you to fulfill while you're on this earth. But you need the counsel of God for that. Your life, you see, one of the things God has taught me is that your life unfolds in times and seasons. So there's so many things connected to your life, but it unfolds in different seasons throughout time. And you need the voice of God to reveal to you what season you're in and what you're supposed to do in that season. You need the voice of God to reveal to you warnings and things to be aware of, things to be mindful of, the times that we're living in this earth and how to be prepared for what's to come. You need the voice of God. And so the book starts on a journey by first speaking to you. Because when you understand how important it is for God's voice to guide your life, you will have a different hunger for that, and you will tailor your life in a way that you prepare yourself to always be put in positions to hear the voice of God. And then we now go into the notion of dreams. What are dreams? Types of dreams. You know, how to interpret your dream, and going through different questions that helps you in prayer. Because outside of all the tools I can tell you about dream interpretation, the key ingredient, the foundation of it all, is relationship with the Holy Spirit. Because he is the one giving the language. He decodes the language of the dream. There are many things you can present to the Lord. Like, for example, yes, can you introduce Google or AI to help you with a dream? Only to understand certain symbols in a dream. And what do I mean by that? For example, you might dream about a person and you hear the name of a person. It would help you to know the meaning of that name. So what you don't ask Google, what does it mean to dream about a person unknown? No. You can say, hey, what is the meaning of the name Rachel. In my dream, I heard a name, Rachel. Now you can find out the meaning of the name. And in prayer, you're asking the Holy Spirit, why did I see Rachel in my dream? What is it about Rachel that you're speaking to me? Now, one of the meanings of Rachel, this is just a practical example, is sheep. Now, could it be that God, you heard that name because God is telling you in the season, I need you to be sheep and let me be your shepherd? But you will not get that from just Googling about dreamt of a female and I heard a name. But when you find out the meaning of the name, you bring it before the Lord. What was it about that person? There are all these symbols in dreams. A name is a symbol. The activity in the dream is a symbol. The tone of the dream is a symbol. You might dream about a snake and you hate snakes. But if you only think about the fact that you dreamt about a snake, it might freak you out. But if you remember that in the dream, I felt confident, I felt like I overcame something, it changes the whole meaning of the dream. And so we go into all of this, but then after that in the book, then we go into who you have to become to be the person that remembers your dream consistently. The habits you have to form before you go to bed and when you wake up. So there's practical teachings and there's also spiritual disciplines that we have to undertake. And so I'm excited for what God is going to do with you and through you, just through the revelation of the book, because there are many things that the Lord wants to show his people in getting ready, in knowing their times and seasons connected to their lives. Even when it comes down to when should I stay at this job? When should I quit this job? When it comes down to marriage, I'm dating someone, Lord. Can you give me a sign? I remember a good friend of mine, he was dating this young lady and he just wasn't sure. He loved her, but he really wanted to know, God, are you in this? And he has this dream and literally his life, so the first part of the dream, his life was black and white. Everything happening in the dream was in black and white. And it was a dream without the woman in his life. And the dream flips and she's in his life and it's color, it's vibrant, it's exciting. He feels happy, he's joyful. And when he woke up, the Lord said, this is what life would look like if you made her your wife. And that was one of the key confirmations he needed to know the hand of God was in this thing. Now, on the other side of that, you do have scenarios where people dream about people they're not dating. Run away from such dreams. Just run away, just ignore them. Especially for women, this is not the order of God. A woman should not be pursuing a man because she saw him in her dream. I've had so many situations where I remember a young lady, she came up to me and she was so angry with God. And she was like, God lied to me. He showed me my husband and now the man is married. And I'm like, that was not God. I think that was just you. You had some dreams and that's just what it is, God does not torture you with the revelations he gives you. God will not give you a message to leave you in pain and torture or make you a cyber stalker, right? That's not God. And so, we talk about all these things because, the same way dreams, your thought life, anything that has access to influence you or give you information from a spiritual realm can come from God. It can come from you. It can come from the enemy. Right? And so you have to, there are ways that you test the message to know where did it come from. The same way, even with your thought life, right? There are times where if you ever struggle with, societal thoughts or, you're dealing with anxiety or you're dealing with a crippling fear, there are thoughts that play in your mind over and over again. And the reality of it, it's not even your thoughts. God did not create you to be against yourself. The same way there are dreams that will give you these messages that will make you feel crippled and in fear. And it's not God, it's not of you, it's just the enemy. And there are things you need to know how to cancel, how to come out of agreement with. And we talk about these things in the book. Because when you know the nature of God, when you know the ways of God, when you know the reasons why God speaks, there are words that God will not give you if you don't have the maturity to handle it. So when you understand the ways of God, you can recognize easier what comes from the Lord and what is not of God. You can, and it's easier for you to know the things to come out of agreement with. And sometimes it could feel so difficult because, you may have a negative thought and you keep having this fear. Maybe you have a fear of dying. And then you start dreaming of seeing yourself dying.